the iHeartRadio app.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
Is this the title?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers got a dramatic win at home on Wednesday. Freddie Freeman delivered a 2-out, 2-run single in the bottom of the ninth to lift the Dodgers to a 4-3 win over Minnesota. Shohei Ohtani set a Dodgers record with a home run in 5 straight games. Ohtani hit his 37th in the first inning. The Angels were swept by the Mets in New York. They lost 6-3. The Angels could have swept the 3-game series with a couple of timely hits. They left 27 men on base in the series. The LA Sparks are at the Connecticut Sun tonight. The Sparks are aiming for their first 4-game winning streak in the WNBA since August 19, 2023. Congratulations to tennis legend Venus Williams. The 45-year-old Compton native confirmed her engagement to Andre Preddy, a 37-year-old actor from Denmark. Venus has a second-round match tonight in the DC Open against Magdalena Frech of Poland. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time, whenever news breaks, while we're on the air. It's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580, and we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. Thank you, thank you. Keep on pushing. Keep on pushing. I've got to keep on pushing. I can't stop now. Move up a little higher. Some way or somehow, 'cause I've got my strength, and it don't make sense not to keep on pushing. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
I'm Tavis, Smiley. We are in hour 2. I can guess why we're playing Curtis Mayfield. Hold that thought for a second. Let it ride, Miles. 2 conversations in this hour. On the B side of this hour, Genesis Robinson, Executive Director of Equal Ground, updates us on the recent Florida Supreme Court decision that dealt Democrats a severe redistricting blow. That's on the B side. We commence this hour, as we will every Monday and Thursday, moving forward with our regular contributor, Dr. Cornel West. So it's our version of Smiley and West. We did a radio show together for a few years on NPR back in the day. So we are reunited once again. I couldn't be happier about that. Every Monday and Thursday at the top of the second hour of this program for 30 minutes. You'll get your version of this iteration, at least, of Smiley and West. I asked Miles, my board op, why are you playing that song? I said, I bet Dr. West asked you to play it. He confessed, Dr. West, that you pulled this track out.
Yeah, we need Curtis at this moment, brother. We are at a nadir, a low point, but we bouncing back, my brother. You know, it's always a joy to be with you, though, man. You so kind to have me, I tell you, my brother.
No, it's a blessing for me and for the audience. I mean, I know this, but for those who who have heard you lecture all across the country and have heard you on television and just hear you opine all the time about a variety of issues, they know that you always weave music into your commentary, into your speeches. Anytime you hear Cornel West talk for more than 30 seconds, there's going to be a music reference to somebody, to some group. He weaves it in so beautifully. But what is it about Curtis Mayfield that you love him so?
Well, I think he has a genius beyond language, that he was somebody who had a profound love, very much like Martin King, had a profound sense of service, a profound sense of vocation and calling. And he gave everything. He emptied himself in order to empower, in order to ennoble others, beginning on the chocolate side of town, that west side of Chicago, and that Cooley High, and that rich network and community of Jerry Butler and others. And Curtis just means, the world to me now. He's not Jesus, but he means so much to me, though, brother, especially when I'm down and out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What does it mean since you went there, let me follow you, or since Curtis went there, let me follow you and Curtis? What does it mean for us in this moment, in this peculiar American moment, as you would put it, this grim American moment? What does it mean for us to keep on pushing?
It means that we've got to dig deep into the depths of our own families, communities, traditions, and histories. That we don't begin with the gangsters and the thugs, which is to say we're not parasites on gangsters and thugs. We come from a great people who, in the history, we've generated a great tradition. And that tradition is about what? Telling the truth. That tradition is about what? Bearing witness. That tradition is about what? Serving the least of these. That tradition is about what? Keeping our style. That tradition is about what? Keeping our self-confidence, self-regard, and self-respect. So we got something that fascism, white supremacy, Trumpism can never take away from us as a people and as human beings, my brother.
You called Donald Trump a gangster years ago, so you were way out front of everybody else calling him a gangster. What does the way that he's showing up with regard to this Jeffrey Epstein matter, what does this say to you about his gangster proclivities?
Well, I think you made it very clear. I love that rich dialectic between Trump's Waterloo and Trump's Watergate.
Yeah.
You brought in Napoleon and Nixon. And what was Napoleon? He was a conqueror. He wanted to dominate it. He wanted to manipulate. He wanted to subjugate. And what was Nixon? He was a crook. He was a crook. Now, Trump actually is taking it further, because Trump, in his gangsterism and his thugification of the country, he's proud. He's bold in his gangsterism. He's proud to be a thug. He knows he can say anything and get away with it. He knows there's no accountability. He knows there's no answerability in terms of his actions. That's a gangster, capital G. And it means then that we just have to be honest about who he is, and we have to be fortified in who we are, not just as individuals, but as communities, as members of movements that are trying to bring truth and justice to bear. But we must not in any way fall into a pit of despair.
Yeah. What is your, we're going to get to Martin King here in a second here. What does your read of history suggest to you about what tends to happen when politicians say there's nothing to see here?
You laid it out last hour, brother. It's the forbidden fruit. But the larger context, as you know, my dear brother, is the decline and decay of an empire with military overreach abroad, with corruption of elites, with cruelty as policy, citizens feeling powerless, and not allowing young people to gain access to the best of who they are, but keeping them in a narrow culture of titillation, stimulation, distraction, and addiction. So what you tried to do, in fact, you and I decided, 40 years ago, Brother Tavis,
yes,
we going to make the world safe for Martin Luther King Jr. Yeah. That's Fannie Lou Hamer, too. Yeah. That's Curtis, too. Make the world safe. And it's gotten grimmer and grimmer and dimmer and dimmer, but we still swinging, brother.
Yeah, we are. We did make that commitment to do our small part to make the world safe for the legacy of Dr. King. And for me, that means justice for all. and a love that liberates people. That's what I've been trying to do all these years, as my friend and brother, Dr. Cornel West. And speaking of MLK, as I said earlier, Donald Trump has done everything he can and will do more to try to distract us from this Epstein file matter. And one of the distractions was to release the MLK file. They will not as yet release the Epstein file, but they jumped way ahead of the time frame that these files were supposed to be released, and they released against the wishes of the King family. Bernice and MLK III essentially begged this administration not to do this at this hour, but they released these MLK files, again, years ahead of their scheduled release, as another attempt to distract us from this Jeffrey Epstein file. But what does it mean to have taken Martin's life, but now try to destroy his legacy? Dr. West has written about Dr. King. I have written about Dr. King. I say this with humility. You won't find two black men in the country who love and respect and regard Martin King more than we do. Maybe as much, but not more. So much so that we've written about him in our various books that we have published. And so we're going to take a few minutes to talk about what it means, again, not just to take his life, but in this moment to try to tarnish his legacy with the release of these files. You're listening to Dr. Cornel West on Tavis, Smiley.
Generous listening. Charitable listening. It's why everybody wants to talk to Tavis. The conversation continues when we come forward.
You hear that? That's Mike sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. That's because Mike was smart this time. He took ZQL Ultra to fall asleep fast, stay asleep longer, and get the deeply restorative sleep he needs. So now he wakes up refreshed and ready to conquer Mondays.
Let's do this Monday.
ZQL Ultra. Not for colds, just for sleep. Really great sleep. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Why'd I go to the doctor? My heart would race just taking my son to practice. It didn't feel right. So I got checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Break out the champagne. Everybody get a glass.
Tavis Smiley is now ranked number 16 nationally and the highest rated talk show hosted by an African American on the 2025 Talkers Heavy 100 list of the most important talk radio hosts in the nation. Last year, Tavis ranked number 33, and the year before, number 45. The Tavis Smiley Show has rapidly expanded its national syndication to now include nearly 50 radio stations across the country and counting. Congratulations, Tavis.
Yay, yay!
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind: to help honest folks out of their timeshares permanently. Today, I run Wesley with my 2 sons, a real family business, treating every client and every employee like we'd want our own family treated. That philosophy has helped us grow into the largest, most trusted timeshare cancellation company in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us, they joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-687-7979. That's 800-687-7979. 800-687-7979.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
My team update on today's rundown. My team just confirmed for me that we are going to talk to Representative Summer Lee in the last half hour of today's program. Yesterday, the House Oversight Subcommittee on Federal Law Enforcement passed Congresswoman Summer Lee's motion to subpoena the Department of Justice for the full unredacted release of the Jeffrey Epstein files. The files must be released to the House Oversight Subcommittee by the Department of Justice. The motion passed with a bipartisan support on a vote of 8-2. So not only did the black congresswoman out of Philadelphia, Summer Lee, get this passed, she got 2 Republicans to come across the aisle to support her. That's the reference I made in our first hour to John Nichols when I said the Republicans now are voting for the release of these files. But it was Summer Lee's motion, the sister out of Philadelphia, who was able to succeed yesterday in getting this motion across the finish line for the Department of Justice to release the full unredacted Jeffrey Epstein files, at least to this subcommittee. We'll talk to Summer Lee in the last half hour of today's program. Glad we got that's a great booking. Congratulations, guys. I'm glad to talk to her in the last half hour of this program. We continue our conversation now with Dr. Cornel West, your version of Smiley and West, and I'm delighted to have him on this program. All right, Doc, we got 15 minutes. Let's work this thing out. So obviously we're both chagrined, and I'm sure there's a stronger word you'll come up with than chagrined. Wordsmith that you are, but both of us are troubled by Donald Trump's administration jumping far ahead of the schedule to release these MLK papers. I want to believe, certainly given that we all know that they were after Martin, they were targeting him all the time anyway. He was always under surveillance. I want to believe that nothing they can do will actually tarnish Martin's image and Martin's legacy, but who knows what's in these 240,000 pages. What say you first and foremost about the fact that they jumped ahead of the schedule to get this stuff out now as a distraction?
Well, both as a distraction, but also as an attempt to somehow highlight things about Brother Martin that would lead others to begin to have more suspicious of Brother Martin. Now, for you and I, to attack Brother Martin, it's like almost attacking our mama.
That's right. That's right.
We on the battlefield. We know Martin's a human being. We know he has faults and foibles, but we also know we got foes and enemies that's trying to not just trash Martin, trash his legacy. When Rabbi Herschel said the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. will be the measure of the future of America, when he said the whole future of America will depend on the impact and influence of Dr. King, Rabbi Herschel was right. And we know Martin was not just someone who loved us, who died for us, who served us, who sacrificed us, but he was a conductor on the love train, on the justice train. Very few people had his courage, his willingness to sacrifice everything. In my hunch that the end game might be to try to put this information out on Martin and then convince Congress and others that they could undermine the Martin Luther King holiday. Yeah. To do what? To dampen our spirits, to break our spirits, to dampen our fire, to break our commitment and our conviction, and they will not succeed. So the legacy of Martin does not depend on the gangsters and thugs in the White House. Yeah. No, it depends on us. Mm-hmm. They've been lying on black people for 400 years. They've been criminalizing black people for 400 years. It depends on our strength. It depends on our resilience. It depends on our resistance. And it depends on our love for the love warriors like Martin and Mama and Daddy and Fannie Lou Hamer. Yeah, and Nina Simone and so many others.
I hear that point that you make now. It's a powerful point. I want to spend some time talking about that for a second. This notion of retribution. We know that Donald Trump is a revenge master. Retribution is his way, no question about that. And your point about this federal holiday makes me think about the way they see us. By us, I mean those on the left and others of conscience, going after all of these statues that have been taken down, from Robert E. Lee on down, run the list. There have been all kinds of statues that have been taken down. There are persons' names in history that have been taken off of buildings. We went after the Confederate flag, as we should have. And I hear your point that this may be all about trying to convince Americans that Martin Luther King Jr. does not deserve a federal holiday. Talk to me about that. I would call that retribution politics.
Oh, absolutely. But it's also a part of the larger neo-fascist agenda, because the larger neo-fascist agenda is to attack, to degrade, and devalue those people in policy, because we talk about symbolic policy at this point in terms of names, but they're attacking everyday poor people and everyday black people every day. That powerful interview you had yesterday about trying to give somebody 1 day in prison when they're part and parcel of a police attack on the precious sister Breonna Taylor. That's just the peak of the iceberg in terms of the attacks and assaults on poor people, on black people, on brown immigrants, on brown Palestinians in Gaza. We can go on and on and on. So we have to keep in mind this larger agenda that's operating. Why? In part because that's what Brother Martin was concerned about. Those babies in Vietnam, the babies in Mississippi, the white babies in Kentucky, the workers in Oregon, the everyday people all around the world.
Yeah. So let me just ask you point blank, how safe Martin's legacy is at this moment. I've got some concerns. I want to hear yours first, though. How safe is his legacy? And you made the point clearly that, and I put it this way, that Martin was a public servant, not a perfect servant. He was a public servant, not a perfect servant. Or put another way, whatever we learn about Martin in these papers, some of us, as I often say, is not the sum of us. Some of us is not the sum of us. And so I want to believe that people are wise enough to put whatever comes forth in context. But how safe do you think his legacy is at this moment?
Well, I don't think Martin's legacy has ever been safe.
Wow.
Really.
Wow.
The legacy of Socrates has never been safe. The legacy of Jesus has never been safe. The legacy of Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman has never been safe. Why? Because the forces of greed and hatred, the forces of cowardliness, and the forces of unbelievable evil are always being regenerated. And the only way the legacy of Martin is safe is if in the hearts and minds of people who love truth, justice, and love everyday people are themselves strong enough to keep it alive. If it's dependent on the U.S. government, then we all ought to go to the crack house.
Yeah. I'm bothered by the way in which Republicans, not just Donald Trump, but even Charlie Kirk and others, have made Martin Luther King Jr. a target. Here's what I'm getting at. There was a time in this country, and I take your point that Martin's legacy is never safe. And I know well enough, and as do you, of course, that even at his apex, that is to say, when we were pushing toward making his birthday a holiday, there are always detractors. So Martin is not beloved by everybody. I'm not naive enough to believe that. And yet it does seem to me to be the case that for a long time he was the one person that was almost, the one black person that is, the one black person that was almost untouchable. And now you see Charlie Kirk, Donald Trump, and other Republicans going in on Dr. King. What has happened in the culture that's made even Dr. King vulnerable to political attack?
Well, that's a powerful point, though. That's a powerful point. Because you and I have talked for years about the Santa Clausification of Martin.
That's right.
So that the radical Martin, the Martin who was the most dangerous man in America, the Martin who J. Edgar Hoover said was the major threat. He was a matter of national security. That Martin's been pushed aside for a long time, and he became just an old man, black Santa Claus with toys in his bag, and everybody falling in love with him. Republicans love him, Democrats love him, independents love him. You said, well, we know that was never the case.
Mm-hmm.
No. The real Martin, the radical Martin, was always a threat. But now there is a permission to hate. There is a permission to trash King's legacy. There's a permission to attack poor people and working people and just folk across the board. It can be gays, lesbians, trans. They can be folk attack African countries at so and so THOLASs in Haiti and so forth.
Yeah.
The white supremacist legacy has been unleashed once again. It's not just a backlash, but it's just something that's always under the rock, and all you got to do is pick the rock up and it manifests itself. But in the end, you and I know, my brother, that hatred would never have the last word, man. Never.
Yeah. No, you and I both believe that misery must never have the last word. And yet, I wonder more and more with each passing day whether or not true multiracial democracy is possible, Doc.
Well, I mean, there's a sense in which American democracy itself is on death row.
Oh yeah,
there's no doubt about that. It's on death row.
Yeah.
But the thing is, and it's always been on death row for black folk because it never really came alive until 1960, and it didn't come alive until we had to live and die as movement in order to make it so. But the thing about death is even death doesn't have the last word. You know, it's just a comma, brother.
Yeah.
It's not a period. It's a comma. And there's rebirth after death. But no, American democracy is about gone. But the bounce back is what I'm talking about. And we black folk, and Curtis say, keep on pushing. What was he saying? Be a bounce back in the middle of a death-like situation. Yeah. That's what Curtis is talking about. And that's the history of black people.
Yeah. I'm not unlike you. I'm pulling and praying for the King family, Bernice and Martin.
Oh yeah.
Because this is gonna be a tough period, man. Because there are thousands of these pages, and as these pages start to roll out, and the media starts to dig into them and come up with these various interpretations and narratives about what they accuse Martin of, what Martin might have said or might have done. It's gonna be a difficult process for the family to navigate through, Dr. West.
No, that's true. But you think, though, brother, the level of repression, the level of surveillance for the vast majority of Martin King's adult life, you got the most powerful government keeping track of every action, every phone call, every conversation. That sounds like fascism itself, doesn't it?
It does indeed. Yeah. See, and that's the part about Martin that I find so remarkable, as you know, when I wrote that book, Death of a King, about the last year in his life. That's what fascinated me, because if you think you know Martin because you see him in 1963 at the March on Washington, you don't really know the brother. I mean, I argue, of course, in that text. That and this is true for any of us. We don't know who we are until we have to face our darkest hours. It's in the darkest days that we really come to understand who we really are. And in that last year, when Martin is facing death threats every single day, when he knows there's a bullet out there with his name on it, when he knows he's under surveillance, I mean, all of this stuff is happening for him. But he is the Martin that you want to believe that he was. And as you recall, in that hotel room at the Lorraine Motel, one of the last things he said is, "I'd rather be dead than be afraid." How do you read the fact that up against all of that, the Martin that we know still came through?
Well, I mean, that's part of the greatness of black people in terms of our love, our freedom, our joy, which is something that is forged in the face of all of the hatred and the terror and the trauma. But never forget what J. Edgar Hoover said when he was shot. You remember? He says, "I hope the SON of a BITCH doesn't die because he'll be made a martyr and black folk will remember him as martyr." Now, see, that's the same J. Edgar Hoover thug, gangster, who's got his name on a building in Washington, D.C.
That's right.
You say, oh, this is who we dealing with. This is the level of spiritual sickness and moral decrepitude that we dealing with. It ain't new for black people. That's why Curtis can still sing with such style. Keep on pushing.
Every Monday and every Thursday at this hour, at the top of the second hour, we'll be blessed to hear the insights of Dr. Cornel West. As I said, we were honored years ago to do a show together for a number of years on NPR called Smiley and West. So this is the new version of Smiley and West, and I couldn't be more thrilled about it. Dr. West, until next time, my friend, take care. I love you. Talk to you soon.
Love you, brother. Stay strong now.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
Why does Tavis say when we come forward? Because he's not going back. And you don't have to go back either. Forward ever, backward never. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. New York now requires all public schools to have a cardiac emergency response plan. Governor Kathy Hochul signed DESHA's law, named after a 12-year-old girl who died after collapsing in gym.
And while there were defibrillators in the area, in the school, they were locked up. People didn't know how to use them. There wasn't proper training. And I believe perhaps her little life could have been saved.
This law will ensure staff are trained and ready to act in cardiac emergencies. In Norfolk, Virginia, police falsely accused a black man of a drug deal after he gave two people a ride for gas money. Officers stopped and searched him, but found no drugs. The man says he was just being a good Samaritan. And Harvard is reassigning staff from its diversity office to a new Office of Community and Campus Life. The move follows federal pressure to dismantle DEI programs. The office will support first-gen and low-income students. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers got a dramatic win at home on Wednesday. Freddie Freeman delivered a 2-out, 2-run single in the bottom of the ninth to lift the Dodgers to a 4-3 win over Minnesota. Shohei Ohtani set a Dodgers record with a home run in 5 straight games. Ohtani hit his 37th in the first inning. The Angels were swept by the Mets in New York. They lost 6-3. The Angels could have swept the 3-game series with a couple of timely hits. They left 27 men on base in the series. The LA Sparks are at the Connecticut Sun tonight. The Sparks are aiming for their first 4-game winning streak in the WNBA since August 19, 2023. Congratulations to tennis legend Venus Williams. The 45-year-old Compton native confirmed her engagement to Andre Preddy, a 37-year-old actor from Denmark. Venus has a second-round match tonight in the DC Open against Magdalena Freck of Poland. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., inviting you to join me weekdays at 12 noon right after Tavis Smiley here on KBLA Talk 1580. As a law school graduate and a theologian with a firm grasp of our body politic given almost 2 decades in Congress, my show is the fresh new home of an authentic, uncompromised quest for transformation and salvation, both personal and collectively, as I vigorously interrogate the theological and symbolic meanings embedded in our society. I promise to leverage my knowledge of history, theology, and both international and domestic issues to imagine an inclusive vision for the future, which I hope will inspire all of us to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness as a given, not just an aspiration. So join me weekdays at 12 noon right after Tavis Smiley for 2 hours of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show only on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we aim to foster enlightening, sustainable, restorative dialogue, and we welcome unapologetically progressive viewpoints that empower fellow citizens. We are now accepting submissions for KBLA Talk 1580 guest editorials like this one.
For the KBLA Talk 1580 guest editorial, I'm Martin Gordon, chair of the Pasadena Community Coalition. Recently, I listened to a Tavis Smiley show conversation with James Farr. James said something that caught me off guard. black out the Dina is gone. My community is being murdered. I said murdered.
All you have to do is go to our website homepage at KBLA1580.com and click on the icon that says KBLA Guest Editorials to learn more about our editorial standards and content submission guidelines. As long as the topic aligns with our mission, we are happy to review your submission and consider it for broadcast. We can't make any promises, but we want to amplify progressive perspectives that are community-focused and solution-oriented. So, go to KBLA1580.com right now to download all the information you need about our guest editorials. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
And the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
You are indeed glad to have you with us in this second hour of our program. We thank Dr. Cornel West for his insights. Once again, Dr. West will be with us every Monday and Thursday at the top of the second hour. Conversation now with Genesis Robinson, Executive Director of Equal Ground, for an update on the recent Florida Supreme Court decision that dealt Democrats a severe redistricting blow. Genesis, good to have you on. How are you, sir?
I'm well, sir. Thank you for the opportunity.
It's my delight to have you on the program. Let me just make the most of the time we have. So just give us the backstory for starters, and I'll jump from there.
Yes, sir. So essentially what happened is in 2022, the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, inserted himself into the political process by recommending his own map, one that would have decimated black congressional representation in Congress. As we know, it is the duty of the legislature to draw maps. It is only the governor's job to sign the map into law. But he submitted his own map, and despite that, the legislature defied the governor. The Republican legislature went forth and kept those black access seats intact. Yet the governor vetoed the map, held the budget over their heads, and said he would not sign the budget until they gave him exactly what he wanted. And as an end result of that, they ultimately capitulated, and they gave him exactly what he wanted. It decimated black representation in Congress. It also gave a partisan advantage of 20-8 to the Republican Party here in Florida in our congressional representation. And so our organization, along with others, we took it all the way to the Supreme Court, but a court that was stacked with appointees from this governor ruled in favor of him, and they've now handed him a victory that will stand and have impact for generations to come.
Tell me more about the damage, Genesis.
So, essentially, you have eliminated the opportunity for black voters to elect a candidate of their choice. After Reconstruction, when Josiah T. Walls was first elected to Congress in 1871, we went 116 years after Reconstruction where we did not have one single black representative in Congress. And it was in 1990, the early 1990s, where the late Carrie Meek, the late Alcee Hastings, and Congresswoman Corrine Brown were able to go to Congress. And here we are 30 years removed from that, and we're going back in our representation, despite the fact that Florida has more black people than ever here in our state. And so the ramifications of black people losing their voting power obviously is not lost on us, but it has a national implication as well. When DeSantis cemented this partisan advantage for Republicans, Florida shifted from a 14 to 13 delegation, meaning we had 14 Republicans to 13 Democrats representing us in Congress. And now with that 20-8 advantage, Republicans have now been able to move on Donald Trump's agenda. When we see the big ugly bill pass the United States House of Representatives by just 4 votes in the House, that would not have been possible had Ron DeSantis not cemented such an unfair gerrymandered map that gave Republicans the advantage. And so now you have trillions of dollars being wiped away from Medicaid, billions of dollars being wiped away from SNAP, social and safety net programs that are designed to help and protect people all over this country are now being eroded and gutted away only because of a decision that was made here in Florida to insulate the power of Republicans. And so the outreach of that is far-reaching.
That number, Genesis, that data point you just shared is arresting. I didn't realize it was that bad. I hadn't paid attention to it that closely because this is what you do every day. But y'all went from 14 to 13 Republican Democrat to 20 to 8?
Yes, sir, 20-8. And so that's what we've been trying to sound the alarm about, is just how alarming this is. This isn't just a Florida problem.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you, when you look at that bill passing by just 4 votes, it would not have ever passed had Florida not been able to deliver Republicans in Congress that advantage.
Yeah.
And so the consequences are far-reaching when we talk about the implementation of Project 2025 and all of the other dangerous things that this administration has planned. Florida and Ron DeSantis made that wholly possible.
I want to come back to this notion of gerrymandering in just a second here, but give me some sense of the way that I think I have an idea. But before Ron DeSantis disenfranchised black voters in this way, give me a sense of the way that he has shown up or not. What's been the relationship or lack thereof between Ron DeSantis and black voters in Florida?
Well, it's been terrible. I mean, he came in 2018 where he defeated Andrew Gillum, who was running for governor. He would have been the first black governor in the history of our state. He campaigned with racist tropes. He told Florida, don't monkey up the election, right? Just appealing to the very worst of this state. And since he's come in, he has not really been a partner in ensuring that we can improve the quality of life of black folks in this state. We saw that in COVID. He did not prioritize testing and keeping our community safe. He has denied the history of black folks. He has banned, we lead the nation in banned books. We lead the nation in rewriting curriculum. Here in Florida, there are standards in our educational system that tell students, regardless of your color, that there was a benefit to slavery. That happened under this governor, where he is pushing those type of falsehoods. And, in addition to that, he has just ignored all of the things that would help provide economic mobility for voters, on top of the countless voter suppression laws that have made it harder for us to be able to vote as well.
On this particular issue, Genesis, is there recourse beyond the Florida State Supreme Court?
Well, at this point, our attorneys are assessing the matter, but it looks as for the immediate election that's coming up in 2026, it looks like we'll be stuck with this map at least through 2026. I know that there are some other things out there that are being considered because, this is just wrong. The other thing that I wanted to mention to you, Tavis, is in 2010, Florida voters passed a playbook, right? We amended our state constitution to pass what's known as the Fair District Amendments. We were very clear how we wanted the redistricting process to look like. And yet, despite us having that in our state constitution, they still ignored the will of voters and passed this law that not only eliminated black voting power, but cemented a partisan advantage for Republicans.
Yep. I know this isn't how it ended, but what did you make of that moment when the legislature in Florida bucked up against Ron DeSantis and initially didn't give him what he asked for?
Well, we thought it was a promising sign, because here in Florida, we have a supermajority Republican Party, meaning that at least 60% of the members belong to the Republican Party in the House and the Senate. And so, that was a very encouraging sign for us because it was very unique. Never before had we seen a governor submit his own map to the legislature. I mean, essentially telling them what to do. And so we were happy that they shown a little independence, but after he ultimately held the budget over their heads and refused to sign the budget until they capitulated and gave him what he wanted, it was clear that they ultimately ended up caving in. And so, while it was a moment that we were able to celebrate, like you said, in the end, we were left with the elimination of black access seats in Congress.
When we come forward, I want to ask what agency at this point black voters have in Florida, given how they've been disenfranchised. You heard Genesis say a moment ago that they may be stuck with this map, at least for the 2026 elections. What does that mean? I want to give him a chance to respond to that. And then I want to talk about gerrymandering. We just had Dr. Cornel West on, and some of you know that Dr. West and I wrote a book together called The Rich and the Rest of Us, a poverty manifesto that came out some years ago, a New York Times bestselling book, I'm happy to say, The Rich and the Rest of Us. But in that book, we argued that poverty is a threat to our very democracy. we argued and unpacked why we believe that poverty is a threat to this experiment in democracy. And I believe that gerrymandering is the same thing. Gerrymandering is in my top 5 of the things, the issues that are threatening our very democracy. And I want to give Genesis Robinson a chance to sound off on that regard. In that regard, how gerrymandering is a threat to this democracy, not just in Florida, but indeed around the country. You're listening to the Executive Director of Equal Ground, Genesis Robinson, right now, and I'm glad about it, on Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Can you dig it? Come on!
Yeah. At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time, whenever news breaks, while we're on the air. It's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580, and we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. Thank you.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Hey, listen to this. All I needed was a new starter. Got a great deal on eBay. Did it myself.
Yeah, that's cool. But how about the soft purr of an upgraded exhaust when it fits just right?
For me, it's the little things, like these new windshield wipers from eBay I installed.
From small fixes to big upgrades, eBay has all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Why'd I go to the doctor? My heart would race just taking my son to practice. It didn't feel right. So I got checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Genesis Robinson, Executive Director of Equal Ground, the preeminent black-led, nonpartisan, nonprofit organization working to expand black political power in Florida. I know you guys did a statewide tour highlighting efforts to silence voters back in May, as I recall. But what agency do black voters have at this point? I thought I heard you say earlier, Genesis, that at this point you may be stuck with this map for the 2026 elections. And if so, what does that mean?
Well, it means just that the battle may, be delayed, but it's not over.
Right.
We are fundamental believers in the quote from the late Coretta Scott King that says, freedom is never really won. You earn it and win it in every generation. So the fight continues. We know that we come from a long history of freedom fighters and people who believe in justice and freedom. And so, where we may be temporarily denied here, we must persist. There's an opportunity to elect a new governor, next year. And so with that comes an opportunity to have a renewed conversation around what does it look like for liberation for our people. And so, yes, we took it to the courts. We're on our statewide tour right now talking about the impact of legislative session because we know that the more that we can inform people about what is happening, the more they desire to get involved and realize that they need to do something about it. And so we're happy to be on our tour. We're also happy to play a role in the advocacy space. We have introduced legislation in the state legislature, the Florida Voting Rights Act, named in honor of Harry T. and Harry V. Moore, who we know were fighters and advocates here in this state, trailblazers leading the way. And so we're happy to push that. You know, it is a bill that would, advance pro-democracy here in the state of Florida. It would make voting rights, election day a holiday in this state. It would expand voter protections. We would create a database for returning citizens to be eligible to vote. Tavis, you may remember in 2018, we passed an amendment to our Constitution that said we wanted returning citizens to have the right to vote. Mm-hmm. And then our legislature went in and essentially put in a poll tax saying that you have to pay your fines and your fees. And so every moment that we are met with resistance, we're finding a way to pivot and to try to find a way to roll back some of these attacks that we've seen on our communities.
You mentioned the next governor's race in Florida. Ron DeSantis is termed out. Thank God for Jesus. I digress on that point. But you mentioned the next gubernatorial race there, and the one of the rumors is that the reason why Byron Donald, the black conservative from Florida, who we all know is a Donald Trump supporter, Donald Trump sycophant, frankly, we all saw Byron Donald sitting next to Donald Trump every night in the box at the Milwaukee convention. I mean, Donald Trump knows a lot of people, but there were two people next to him every night. On one side was Tucker Carlson, on the other side was Byron Donald. This Negro has got access to Donald Trump. So everybody thought that Byron Donald was going to be in the cabinet, and that did not happen. It didn't happen, I hear, because Byron Donald wants to run for governor in Florida, and Donald Trump may support him. What are you hearing about that, or anybody else who may be on the ballot for governor in Florida?
Yeah, well, we're certainly hearing several names. We know that name has been floated as a potential person to run. But regardless of who's on the ballot, Equal Ground is committed to ensuring that whoever it is understands that we will not go down without a fight, and you must prioritize the issues that we care about. Yeah. And so we're going to be honest. We're going to ensure that we run a mis- and disinformation campaign so that people are not hoodwinked into thinking that just because someone shares your skin, that they're advocating for the issues that you care about. Mm-hmm. So we're going to make sure that our community is informed and knows everything that they need to know about where all of the candidates stand on the issues so that they can make the most informed decision when they go and cast their ballot. This is a very, very important election, Tavis. I cannot underscore that. We had Ron DeSantis elected in 2018 by less than 35,000 votes. Yeah. And then 4 years later, when he ran for re-election, he was elected by 1.5 million votes. And what that tells me is that the voter suppression worked, but most importantly, that there was a sense of apathy. Yeah. There was people who felt like we got so close to electing a person who would deliver progress for our communities, and because we didn't get it, they checked out. But our message to them is that that's when you need to double down and recommit yourself to this fight. You cannot grow weary. No matter how relentless the attacks are, we have to stay engaged, and we have to make sure that our voices are included in the conversation. In our remaining moments with Janessa Robinson, a quick conversation about gerrymandering as a threat to this democracy. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada. Member FDIC.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Why'd I go to the doctor? My heart would race just taking my son to practice. It didn't feel right. So I got checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine a Los Angeles where everyone can thrive, where communities have access to the resources they need to succeed. That's the vision of Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. They're dedicated to improving life in LA County by providing educational support, employment assistance, and spaces for community engagement. By 2050, they want LA to be the best place to connect, create, learn, live, and play. They're working toward an education system that's well-resourced and culturally responsive, becoming a hub for artists and innovators, and making sure everyone has access to healthy food, quality healthcare, and safe housing. It's about building a future where we all have the chance to succeed. We invite you to learn more about their mission and get involved with Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Less monologue, more dialogue. Tavis Smiley continues right now.
I assume we agree on this, Genesis Robinson. If we do, I got 3 minutes left here. Give me your thoughts on gerrymandering as a threat to this experiment in democracy.
Yeah, it is certainly a threat. That's why the voters were clear in Florida that we wanted to protect our process while we passed the Fair District Amendments. We know that, we don't need politicians choosing their voters. Voters choose the politicians. And when you gerrymander, you split up communities of interest, you deny the opportunity for meaningful, long-lasting change. And that is what we have not only seen in Florida, but in Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, all over this country, where we see the rising American electorate shifting, and they are scrambling to try to hold on to power by cementing their power through the redistricting process. There's even talks right now in this state, when you look at what's happening in Texas and potentially here in Florida, where they're talking about redoing the census, not because we want to ensure that we accurately account for people and ensure that we're getting the funding that we need to our communities, but to further cement the political power by gerrymandering and going after districts to favor political incumbents as well as political parties.
Yep. Finally, you say a word about the work of Equal Ground. I'm delighted that you all are doing the work and witness that you are engaged in. But just say a word about your organization's efforts.
Yes, sir. Well, we've been around for now 6 years, working in this state to ensure that we pull more Black folks into the civic engagement process. We know that it's more than just going to vote. It's about a long-lasting, comprehensive engagement around civic engagement, and that's what we're committed to doing through voter preparedness, voter education, strategic development, and training, as well as advocacy and litigation when necessary. We want to be the voice of our community here, and we're working every day to do just that. If folks want to learn more about Equal Ground, you can text the word Equal Ground to 52886. Again, Equal Ground to 52886, where you can learn more and financially support the work that we're doing, because we know it takes resources to do this work, and it's not easy doing it here in the Deep South in Ruby Red, Florida.
Janice Robinson is Executive Director of Equal Ground, the preeminent Black-led, nonpartisan organization working to expand Black political power in Florida. Janice, thanks for your work and witness, man. Good to have you on this program. All the best to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
My pleasure. When we come forward in our final hour, 2 more conversations, including a dialogue with Representative Summer Lee out of Philadelphia, whose motion to subpoena the Epstein files was passed yesterday in a House subcommittee. It's just a subcommittee, but there is movement on this Epstein matter. We'll talk to her on the backside of Hour 3. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. New York now requires all public schools to have a cardiac emergency response plan. Governor Kathy Hochul signed DSHA's law, named after a 12-year-old girl who died after collapsing in gym.
And while there were defibrillators in the area, in the school, they were locked up.